We're heading for a global recession. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. Let's have a look at this media alert from the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. It calls for a course correction to avert a global recession and stagnation. Now let's bring up the definition of what a recession is. So a period of temporary economic decline during which trade and industrial activity are reduced, generally identified by a fall in GDP in 2 successive quarters. And let's bring up the definition of GDP because they're changing all of this. Gross domestic product, or they're trying to change, at least Biden is trying to change the definition of all of this to pretend they're not in recession. So the gross domestic product, the total value of goods produced and services provided in a country during a 1-year period. And they're concerned that we're going to head into this, a global recession. Now, I know it's concerning, but there also needs to be an allowance in a free market system, or a quasi-free market system that we have, for some creative destruction. Businesses need to be allowed to fail. Risk needs to have a price. And, well, opportunities need to be created for new businesses and new people to step up. But the concern is with this, well, we're not really in a free market. We're in a highly manipulated market on all levels. And the whole concept of too big to fail means there's no real price for risk. What happens then? So the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, their 2022 report, outlines policy actions to avert economic crisis and strengthen support in developing countries. The UNCTAD economists analyze the state of global economy and project lower growth over the next 2 years. Advanced economies need to change course in their monetary and fiscal policies to avoid inflicting worse damage than the financial crisis in 2008. And the COVID-19 shock in 2020. The cascading crises resulting from the pandemic, combined with debt distress, inflation, climate change, and the war in Ukraine, have already turned a global slowdown into a downturn. Honestly, I would bet that the only thing here that's had the big effect is the crises resulting from the pandemic. The interventions into the economy to address that. I bet you that's had more impact than anything else. And the question is, was it worth it? So the report also covers the economic and development outlook in each developing region. So we can jump over here and let's have a look at just a few parts of the report. Maybe we'll go through the chapter 1. What do we want to look at? Let's look at some of the pictures, honestly, and we'll go through the full report in another episode because I've already done one 40-minute video today and I'm a bit tired. So countries with double-digit inflation rate as of June 2022 versus 2021. We can see here you've got, well, Russia, you've got most of Eastern Europe, you've got Asia, India, not the Orient, South America, a lot of Africa, and here you go. Economies with confirmed double-digit inflation representing less than 0.9 billion of world population in June 21, and now 2.1 billion of world population in June 22. So while we're complaining about the inflation we have here in Australia, we just need to compare ourselves to the other 2.1 billion people in the world. So we're nowhere near as bad as many other parts of the world. And that is, well, that's going to drive demand to move to Australia, everyone. I know you've got people who are bitching and moaning about how bad Australia is, but it's pretty bloody good being on the edge of the world. Okay, it is really good. Could be a lot worse. Let's keep having a look here. What else is exciting to look at? Global stagnation or stagflation. Disruptions to global supply chains, armed conflict in key commodity-producing regions, slowing economic growth, turbulence in stock markets, and accelerating inflation suggest a resemblance to the stagflation of the 1970s. Accordingly, the recommended policy action is aggressive monetary tightening, which is supposed to preemptively anchor inflationary expectations and avoid the steep economic costs associated with a prolonged period of interest rate increases. Yay! Oh no. Oh no, this is going to be a mess. Here's the real oil prices. I mean, there you go. It's shot up as well. What else do we have here? Energy intensity. It's all energy, oil and gas is dropping down. Labor share per capita, it's dropping down. What do we have here? Debt, emerging market and developing economies. You've got total, government and private. Yeah, well, that's just shot up because of COVID. A lot of that is driven. Look at that increase. Look at that increase. Here we have the number of countries with inflation targeting central banks. So 1990 it was 1, 2000 it was 14, 2010 you had 28, and 2022 you've got 44. And that includes a substantial number of advanced economies and EMDEs. Let's keep going. Yeah, we'll definitely go through this in another video. Normal interest rate selected among emerging economies. South Africa, Brazil, and Mexico. Yeah, I mean, shit. Global stagflation, redux, bad news on the doorstep. Let's see what else. What else is exciting to look at here? What do we have here? World growth output, 91 to 23. Annual percentage changes. Reported and revised world is down 0.1%. Not much going on here, guys. This is not a good sign for the world growth. Now, here's the thing. If they're doing monetary tightening, how's that going to impact demand for natural resources here in Australia? And will we still have, I mean, we've got higher inquiries for student passports, student visas than before COVID. So that's jumped back up. That's not being felt yet in demand for these sectors here in Australia, and they're big sectors. What else do we have a look? COVID recovery compared to pre-recovery COVID trends. There you go. So we're still not where we should be at the pre-trend. Okay, GDP is stagnated, really. It's still growing, but not as much as it was. Expected output gap in 2023. Oh boy. Russia's not doing too well. Indonesia. Here's Australia, 0.5. Negative. IMF global consumer inflation estimate and forecasts. What do we have there? 4%. Consumer price inflation. Yeah. 70%. 70%. So when you look at that, Australia doesn't look too bad, does it, guys? Honestly. It does not look that bad. 10-year real interest rates in the US. Yep, I mean, they're going up. And we will go through this report in another video. Let's see. I'll zoom right out. We'll see if there's anything that jumps out really exciting. I like the maps. But no. So let's have a talk about this one, guys. Concerns of a global recession, fears of stagflation. What do you reckon? But we've got to remember, compared to the rest of the world, we're still looking pretty good here. Will that protect us? Will that mean Australia is the lucky country once again? I don't know. It's hard to predict. It's hard to predict. But, you know, we tend to fight arse our way through these things, don't we? We get bloody lucky, don't we? More than some people would like to admit. You know, it's not our great political leaders or skills. It's just blind luck. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts and opinions, and we'll go through this report tomorrow in greater detail. Take care. Check out my other channels, HeiseBim and HeiseSays International, for other content I create. If you're a fan and want to support us, you can financially on YouTube or Patreon, using our referral links, buying our pocket squares, or calling us if you need an architect. Take care, guys. Have a great day, and watch out for that 70% inflation. Damn.